The Journal of Schenkerian Studies at the University of North Texas published.
Oh my God, he has his own journal.
He's got his own journal. Obviously,
journal
they're
is-
biased in favor of Schenker. Obviously.
How 17 readers, 14 subscriptions.
The journey of Schenkerian musical analysis in Texas, Adam. This is a very widely read, widely
I can't. It's got to be Austin.
publication. Okay.
It's got to be Austin, Texas. There's no way. There's no way that shit's going on in Houston.
This is very important mainstream publication.
15 papers in a symposium response that Dr. Ewell was not invited to participate in. Now, some of the
I wonder why. He's a massive racist. Why would you want him at your conference?
Well, it's funny because apparently they're claiming that's not true. They're claiming that they invited him and he chose to not come. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
These papers were.
What was his reasoning?
Well, no, Ewell's saying he wasn't invited, and the journal saying they invited him and he never responded. So.
Oh.
Who knows?
Sent it to the wrong email address.
Half-assed, to say the least. One was just a short paragraph, and one was somehow published anonymously, which is strange.
So his critique is that this is a short paragraph. So first of all, it's so funny. I actually found this fucking journal, okay? And I found the responses, and it's like over 100 pages. So his complaint is that one guy didn't want to just regurgitate and reiterate what everyone else said. He just added a very short little part. So
he's like, this is what you missed right here in your 100-page analysis.
Yeah. And also talk about cherry picking. Okay. There's hundreds of pages of analysis. Okay. There's over, I think there's like 15 or so different responses. And he's going to pick the one that's a paragraph and say, see, this is the type of critique against Professor Ewell by the racist.
They used white paper. Very racist.
One was just a short paragraph, and one was somehow published anonymously, which is strange because, you know, just ask any teacher if that's enough to get a passing grade on an assignment. You're going to need to write your name on it, and you're going to need...
Oh.
This is
I'm assuming it's
weird complaint.
I'm assuming it's published anonymously because of cancel culture. Am I correct?
Well, let's think.
I'm just going to guess. Yeah.
So this happened last year, 2019. Okay.
Oh my God.
Why would someone publish an anonymous response to a black person saying that some aspect of music theory is racist?
Yeah. Of course that's going to be anonymous. Oh my God. Adam Neely. Funny. Is he one of these cancel culture isn't real guys? I'm curious.
He must be. He must be because, and Adam talks about this later in the video, one of the people who wrote a response to this to Professor Ewell, guess what happened to them?
Oh, they lost their job? They got fired?
The cancel culture mob is trying to get them fired from their teaching position.
I never would have guessed, Sitch. Not in a billion years. That's something people do?
But what a bad person for being anonymous. Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But obviously smart. That guy's... Like, first of all, there's the fact that he came up with 100 pages of analysis on this stuff. I mean, and of course he's smart enough to keep his name off it.
Need to probably write more than one paragraph.
Of course, Adam Neely doesn't know that because he's on the right side of the argument, the one with all the power, all the whiteness and all the power. I'll let you guys put that one together.
Amazing that in our country that is dominated by white supremacy and white power and all this other shit, if that's the case, then how come it is that all the people that are supposedly racist have to continually hide their racism?
Yeah, hide their identity. Yeah,
hide their identity and blah blah blah. Like, why is the white supremacy not helping them? I don't understand.
Donald Trump is president. You don't understand, Sitch. You will never understand this stuff. Okay. White supremacy is everywhere.
Probably the worst offender in laziness, though, comes from a professor at the University of North Texas.
And so right now, Adam Neely and Professor Ewell are basically perpetuating white nationalist ideas on YouTube by promoting the idea of a unified white European culture. And that's allowed as long as it's in the framework of saying white bad.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to believe that there's a white supremacy culture in America that's dominating every aspect of life.
Yeah, as they're deplatforming everyone who's just
Right.
they've targeted as a white supremacist without any evidence.
Right.
Named Timothy Jackson, who quotes at length from the Wikipedia article on misogyny in rap music for some reason. I guess because Dr. Ewell isn't white. Accuses Dr. Ewell.
Well, you guys, one of the reasons I like rap music is for the misogyny, but I don't know about you guys.
So it's so funny because so this is the guy that they're trying to get fired, Timothy Jackson. Okay.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
So talk about the hypocrisy and the irony right here. He just criticized someone for being anonymous. Then he immediately jumps to the guy who they're trying to get fired. And not only is he talking about him, but he plasters his face and name like all over the video and shows where he works. Okay.
Cancel culture move. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then on top of it, it's so bad because he takes literally everything this guy says completely out of context in the most uncharitable, dishonest way. So
oh my God.
And this is so funny because I read Timothy Jackson's entire response. It's like 10 pages or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because his first point is totally destroys the entire narrative of Ewell and Adam Neely. His first point is that guess what? Schenker's work was banned and destroyed in Nazi Germany because Schenker was Jewish. Okay.
Oh my God. That's like paragraph 1, probably.
Right. So the idea that Schenker's promoting this magical white supremacy when his own work was literally destroyed by the Nazis.
Yeah.
Never brought up, never talked about. Okay.
This is academic squabble right here. This is like, you didn't invite me to your conference. You're a racist now.
Right. And Timothy Jackson's the one I told you about who said he was warned outside of New York that it would be difficult for him to get a job in the 80s because there wasn't enough Jews in academia to care about Schenker analysis.
Oh my God. This is crazy.
And so Timothy Jackson asked why in Ewell's paper that this whole white racial frame theory is applied uncritically to Schenker when Schenker is Jewish and would not even be considered white by many time periods of American and German history. And that's never brought up. And it's never brought up that Jews were constantly suffering at the hands of bigotry of white people. Never brought up in the white racial frame that Ewell was talking about. And the section, and this is so weird. So Adam Neely is like, let me go back a second.
Write more than one paragraph.
What was that salacious stuff he had on there? He was talking about.
We'll get into that right now.
Comes from a professor at the University of North Texas named Timothy Jackson, who quotes at length from the Wikipedia article on misogyny in rap music.
Okay. He quotes at length from the Wikipedia article on misogyny in rap music.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, this is a lie. He doesn't quote at length. Unless maybe he meant like length because it's like a paragraph footnote. Because he only quotes Wikipedia once. When I hear someone say quote at length, that to me makes me think that they quoted Wikipedia a bunch
multiple
of times.
Yeah.
Right, which he does not do. And he also doesn't explain the point of the quotation whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So the context of this entire section that he doesn't talk about is that Timothy Jackson is claiming that Professor Ewell is invoking what you were talking about, Adam, is invoking anti-Semitic tropes by using Jews as scapegoats and combining them into white racial framing of music theory. And then now Jackson does something which I wouldn't have done, okay? And I don't necessarily agree with, but this is what Professor Ewell is doing, so maybe it's fair game.
Dude, it's a woke off. I can't believe it.
So Timothy Jackson then goes up and talks about how Professor Ewell is not only invoking this anti-Semitic trope, but he's also invoking an American historic black anti-Semitic trope. Then he goes and he quotes sources that talk about how there's a historical anti-Semitism among the black community.
Oh my God.
And in that section, he talks about how this anti-Semitism is shown itself in various aspects of what is considered quote unquote black culture. And one of those things where the anti-Semitic ideas show are in some rap lyrics. And the horrible Wikipedia quotation is literally just an article listing those rap lyrics that Timothy Jackson is claiming are
Oh
anti-Semitic.
my God.
That's it. He's literally just it's a footnote that's quoting fucking rap lyrics.
Didn't we just do a video on the black Israelites being anti-Semitic? I feel like we talked about that for 8 hours.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the whole thing with Nick Cannon and the whole,
exactly.
You know, he was being super anti-Semitic, and it was very interesting to see. Now, obviously, there was lots of people in the black community, or not black, but that were black, that were rightfully calling Nick Cannon racist and anti-Semitic. But
Definitely.
there was also people that were black that were totally fine with it, and they were not deplatformed from Twitter or called horrible bigots. So
yeah. We don't like deplatforming. Don't deplatform anyone.
No. But this is what's so annoying, because he takes this section completely with no context to make it look like Jackson is quoting Wikipedia, so he's an idiot, and B, why is he bringing up rap? Is it because the professor is black? He must be racist, assuming that the professor likes rap music.
I'm so glad that you gave the context, because you will get none of that actually watching the video. Like, he drones on and on about how this, even in college, they told me, quoting Wikipedia, you know, obviously you can't quote Wikipedia. It says right on the website, don't quote Wikipedia. It's like, oh, but so are you saying the rap music lyrics are incorrect? Like, is it okay just to cite the rap music lyrics? Come on.
Some reason, I guess, because Dr. Ewell isn't white, accuses Dr. Ewell of black anti.
He totally makes it seem like, yeah, because he's black, he has to like rap music, right?
Right. No, but see, this is the part. He's saying, Ewell scapegoating of Shanker and Shankarians, and the Shankarian analysis occurs in the much larger context of black on Jew attacks in the United States. Over a quarter of a century ago, a detailed scholarly article was published on African-American anti-Semitism in refereed social science journals, blah, blah, blah. Now, again,
well, no, they blurred this part out, because this is where the guy's making sense. He's like, well, I can't put that on screen because someone will point straight to it and go, look, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Now, I wouldn't have brought this up because I don't know how relevant it is to the conversation. But if Ewell's bringing up all this racial components and shit, I guess it's only fair for someone to counter it with more racial component bullshit.
It's a woke off. I love it. No, come on. This is great. You're racist against blacks. You're racist against Jews. Let them fight. Celebrity deathmatch.
Anti-Semitism, and also of not bringing blacks up to standard, and also patronizingly dismissing.
Okay. Again, there's no context.
I know. He's uninterested in bringing blacks up to standard.
So
he did capitalize blacks, though, so he's got some woke points there, right?
Well, but first of all, the first thing you notice, that standard is in quotes. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is. Good catch.
Yes. So let's read the whole paragraph. It says, why then are there... Okay, so the context of this is that Professor Ewell argues in his paper that the reason there aren't more black students and black professors involved in classical musical theory is because classical musical theory is racist and part of white supremacy, blah, 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 blah. Right. So the response to that is, why then are there so few black professors of music theory in American institutions, or American universities? Is it because of a conspiracy by racist Shankarians practicing their inherently racist analytical methodology, as Ewell would have us believe? Of course, I understand full well that Ewell only attacks Shanker as a pretext to introduce his main argument, that liberalism is a racist conspiracy to deny rights to people of color, which is part of critical race theory.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Huge part.
Okay. So that's all not talked about. And then also before we carry on, because I don't think they talk about it at all. Timothy Jackson talks about why there aren't more blacks involved in classical music theory. And he says it's because financial reasons, and also because for whatever reason, he's saying that kids who generally get involved in classical music have to grow up in a household that values classical music.
Costly signaling. Costly signaling theory.
It's a cost signaling, yes. But anyway, so he says...
You have to know what to say at the cocktail parties, and those black kids don't go to a lot of cocktail parties, so they don't give a fuck about this classical music. I'm noticing here he says, on the contrary, which usually means the direct opposite of what was just said here is coming.
Yeah, no, exactly. So anyway, he continues and says, where's my, I have a little picture open. Okay, he says he is uninterested in bringing blacks up to, quote, standard so they can compete. On the contrary, and then we don't see, but what it says after that is he is claiming that those very standards are in themselves racist, and that African Americans have the right to embrace their own culture as precious. Examples would be rap music, hip hop, etc., and study and teach it in universities so that the products of the, quote, defective, quote, racist white culture, i.e. classical music, can be shunted aside. Okay. So he also puts racist and defective in quotes too. So it's very obvious from the context. He's saying standard, like, ironically, he's saying this is Yule's view of standard. That's why it has quotes in there. Okay. He's not saying that he actually thinks that Yule is that he believes that there's some sort of white standard going on that blacks aren't being upheld to. It's literally the opposite of what he's saying.
Definitely. The on the contrary is a huge red flag.
Right.
Dismisses the work of black musicians.
We can listen to their music with pleasure, even if they aren't the supreme geniuses on the level of the greatest classical composers.
Okay.
Who said that? Where'd that come from?
Again, he gives this quote, sounds super racist, okay? Says, we can certainly listen to their music with pleasure, even if they're not the supreme geniuses on the level of very great classical composers. So the full quote is, as for black composers, they've had to have overcome unbelievable prejudice and hardships, yet there have been many talented and technically competent black composers in the past 100 years. Okay? We can certainly listen to their music with pleasure, even if they're not the quotation marks, which were left out.
Oh, no way.
Geniuses.
Oh, my God. He left the quotes out.
He left
Holy
the quotes
shit.
out on the level of the very greatest classical composers.
That is completely dishonest. Right. Fake news. Fake news. This is totally fake news.
It's possible that Adam Neely didn't understand because he read this quickly and he's guided by his prejudice and blah, blah, blah. The reason supreme geniuses is in quotes is because he's referencing Shanker's version of supreme geniuses. Okay.
Yep.
He's not saying he agrees that black composers aren't supreme geniuses. He's mocking and deriding Shanker and Yule at the same time by quoting supreme geniuses.
How dare you try to make your paper entertaining?
I know. And then right after that, Timothy says, one of the cruelest things in Yule's agenda is his dismissal of the works of black classical composers as irrelevant. They are the people who suffer the most from ideologues, that is racism.
Yeah. So, wow. Maybe he didn't know how to put a quote within a quote. Maybe that's why. He just didn't know how to grammatically do it correctly.
Yeah. Maybe
why didn't he just pull it from the paper? It seems a little dishonest here because he did highlight the paper, screenshots of the paper in the other ones.
Yeah, you're right. Well, no, you can see, here's the picture.
Oh,
you can see.
He does do the supreme genius.
In quotes.
There you go.
Those quotes mean something. That's the wink. That's the wink, guys.
Work of black musicians.
We can listen to their music with pleasure, even if they aren't the supreme geniuses on the level of the greatest classical composers.
So when you were talking about your English class and how they deride you for not... for actually quoting Wikipedia, did they say anything about quoting things incorrectly to make an ideological point that's inconsistent with reality? Did your English teacher talk to you about that at all? I'm curious.
Right.
Seems like they would be like floored with what you're doing right here.
Yes.